It's the 24th episode of Hell in a Hallway and part 2 of the series Be a Coach, not a Dictator. Mess in the Workplace. Listen, on the first time that we talked about this, I'm glad you made it back. Joining for tea. I had to heat it up. The first time we talked about why it's important to be a coach and not a dictator, and kind of what it can be, what it can do to your team, right? Or what it can do for your team, rather. So now we're going to talk a little bit about maybe the characteristics of that particular coach. What is that characteristic, right? So, as I said in the first one, I have been in positions of leaderships, and I've had my share of leaders, and maybe we'll talk about that in my last, in the third part of the series for Be a Coach, Not a Dictator. A little bit about my experience has been. But here are some things that we have to pay attention to, because a lot of times, like I said in the first one, we think because somebody's maybe good at what they do, or they can push some paper, or maybe they're just efficient in some areas, it makes them a leader. A leader is not just about managing people. See, bosses manage people. Leaders develop people. So they manage themselves. See, I have worked with individuals who told me, you need to manage your people better. And I was like, I don't really manage them. I lead them. And I had just started there, right? And I find that the issue is their expectations that I come in with an iron fist. That's not my style. Never has been. My style is develop rapport with my team. And when I say about rapport, I don't mean everybody's going to like you. I'm not saying that. I mean trust. Trust is different. People don't have to like you individually. They don't have to like kind of what you're about or like the way you interact. But people can't trust what you say, because you have to demonstrate that. Especially when they've come along a string of bad leaders, right? Because I know you've had that experience. So let's talk about what that looks like. Characteristics, right? One, what's your character? What's important to you? Is your position in is your power in your position? And that's one thing I have said, and I have said for years, and I will continue to say until the day I die, is that my power does not reside in my position, because positions can be taken, and they have. My power does not live there, right? My power is beyond the position. So in knowing that, I don't have to have power over you. I can have power with you. See, that's the difference. People whose power is in their position, they love having power over people. They love exerting themselves over people. And let me tell you what I know about people like that. They're really powerless. Because see, power is an internal thing. So I have power with or without the position, you know? And so should you. So that's one thing to look at in terms of your character. Are you a powerless person? Because if you are, then you're consistently looking to have power over people, instead of having power with them. I can supervise a team and still have power with them. And that means they're going to grow, they're going to develop, they're going to be the best versions they're going to be. And guess what? They're not going to just do the minimum required. I've worked at jobs where they paid very little, but I had an amazing team. I've had some amazing teams. I would love to shout them out, but nobody's going to know who they are in this form. Are you flexible or are you rigid? Right? That's another attribute. If you're a very rigid individual, then you're going to be susceptible to breaking easily. You're going to have high degrees of anxiety, and those degrees of anxiety is going to spill out on your team, right? So I usually will ask a question. Are you a 12-inch ruler or a 12-inch measuring tape, right? And people think it's a trick question. It's really not. They're both 12 inches, so pick one, right? If your personality is more like a 12-inch ruler, then you're susceptible to breaking. If your personality is more like a 12-inch measuring tape, that means you can work around things. That means you can figure things out. That means that you're not easily broken, right? That's what that means. But when you're super rigid, everyone is not you. You cannot expect yourself from others. What you can do is find the strength in that person, right? And develop that. Now, does that mean that everybody who works for you is going to stay there with you and accept your leadership? Nope. Sometimes as soon as I walked in a place, I knew, oh, I know who's not gonna, who may not make it, right? So let me read this quote to you. I want you to hear this. I thought it was awesome. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The leader adjusts the sails. Isn't that incredible? That's the leader. Adjust the sails. Be flexible in your approach. Be able to communicate with your team. Be as transparent as you can. Now, I am no fool. I know full well that we can't tell everybody everything because everything's not developed. And sometimes you create panic. And sometimes it's just not privy for them to have that information. Guess what? I tell teams that ahead of time. I tell them I'll be as transparent as I can while we are adjusting the sails of this ship. And there are times that I will not be able to be transparent. It is in those times that I ask that you trust me, that I will advocate the best that I can for you. And if things come down the way we don't like, guess what? I'm going to support you through that too, right? So in this little short video, what did we walk away with, right? We walked away with your character, whether you're flexible or rigid, and adjusting the sails of your ship. That's real back to flexibility. Oh, I need to add this because I said I was going to say it in the first video, that I can hear feedback if it's done in a way that I can hear it. So sometimes the way you deliver a package absolutely matters. Did I say sometimes? That is a mistake. It always matters. How you deliver a package determines sometimes how people receive it. You have to look at your delivery, folks. You have to look at how you sound. What's your body language? How are you coming across? If you're a person who has power over, you're going to always love to take the power from somebody else. You're going to love to point out people's shortcomings. You're going to like that. It's going to feel good to you to do it. But if you're a person who already has power and your power doesn't reside in your position, you're going to look to help people maybe identify their own vulnerabilities and weaknesses, because that's more powerful. And if they can't, and if they cannot see it, you can create the environment where you can make it safe, even when you have to do something negative like write a person up. There's always more effective ways to work with people. So, think about your character. Are you flexible? Are you rigid? And keep adjusting those sails for your company. Develop your people. Thanks again for tuning in. I have fun in this short video. I'm going to have some more tea. And we have one more part of this series. And in this third part, we're going to talk about how we address it. How do we do this? I talked about these overarching themes, and now we're going to get into a little bit more nitty-gritty. See you next time. Thanks for coming.